In June 2021, headlines around the world announced the discovery of a massive human skull in northeastern China. Designated as Homo longi, the cranium was dated to over 146,000 years old, and the initial researchers postulated it belonged to the Denisovan group. One remarkable feature was its length, an astonishing 22 centimeters, making it the longest archaic human skull ever found. However, H. longi is not the only skull to reach such extreme dimensions. Nearly 50 years earlier and 5,000 kilometers to the south, an equally long cranium was unearthed from the coastal dunes of northwestern Australia. Discovered in 1972 near the remote outpost of Cossack, Western Australia, the partial skeleton represents one of the most robust prehistoric Australians ever found. Dated to less than 6,500 years old, based on the surrounding geology, the powerfully built man displays many archaic features. Chief among these is the markedly sloping forehead with a degree of frontal recession surpassing any other known Australian skull, ancient or modern. The Cossack skull presented challenges during its reconstruction due to post-burial damage. The cranium was compressed, with the entire left side of the skull pushed inward. The right side, however, was mostly undistorted. One researcher suggested this damage exaggerated the overall length. Despite these limitations, the Cossack skull's extraordinary size and robustness are undisputed and exceed the recent Australian norm. The brain case features thick vault bones, occipital bunning, a prominent occipital torus, and a large supramastoid crest. The large face was supported by a massive, slightly prognathic jaw. Molar wear indicates the man reached middle age, likely around 40 years old at death. This suite of archaic characters aligns Cossack with the Pleistocene, early Holocene robust populations of Southeast Australia, exemplified by fossils from Cow Swamp, Cohuna, and Kubul Creek. The presence of this distinctive morphology on the opposite coast implies these heavily built people were once widespread across the continent. While some have argued artificial deformation is to account for the flattened, sloping foreheads, similar undeformed vault shapes in Central Australia populations suggest the trait may be at least partly natural. The Cossack remains presented a unique challenge in terms of dating, as they were discovered in a coastal sand dune system without a clear stratigraphic context. While the surrounding geology suggests a maximum age of around 6,500 years, the actual age of the individual remains uncertain. Some researchers argue that the lack of direct dating renders the Cossack cranium effectively undated, limiting its utility for understanding human evolution in Australia. Others suggest that the skull could be even older, perhaps representing an earlier phase of human occupation. But if Cossack is indeed younger than the other robust Australian fossils, such as Cow Swamp and Cohuna, it would imply that the robust morphology persisted longer than previously thought. The origins of this morphology have been the center of heated debate for decades. One mysterious factor is the fact that the oldest skulls found in Australia are much smaller and thinner than later ancient skulls. Some argue the discrepancy points to multiple migrations into Australia, with an initial movement by more gracile people followed by a later wave of large-brained, heavily muscled newcomers. Others view this variability as a result of adaptation to climate or violence, or of random genetic drift and founder effects. As advances in ancient DNA sequencing shed light on the complex interactions between modern humans and our archaic cousins, the Cossack skull takes on new significance. Recent studies have revealed that the Denisovans, a mysterious hominin group known primarily from genetic evidence, interbred with the ancestors of modern Papuans and Australians. Intriguingly, they suggest the Denisovans shared several anatomical traits with the robust ancient Australians, including a low forehead, large jaw, thick dental enamel, and wide fingertips. The long cranium and sloping forehead of Cossack bear a striking resemblance to the inferred Denisovan morphology. Could this individual, and others like it, represent an expression of Denisovan genetic contributions? Sadly, DNA testing was never done on the Cossack skeleton itself, but other fossils from the region may be able to tell us more. In the 1990s, an archaeological survey near Port Hedland, just 150 kilometers northeast of Cossack, located another highly robust cranium. The skull, in addition to several long bones, was exposed by erosion on a tall sand hill. Notably, the Port Hedland cranium exhibited striking similarities to the Cossack skull. The team reported that the skull's extreme robusticity exceeded the range of modern Australians and closely resembled the archaic features seen in Cossack and other Pleistocene/early Holocene fossils from southeastern Australia. The pronounced brow ridges and low, sloping forehead were all reminiscent of the unique Cossack morphology. Recognizing the significance of the find, the team recommended further investigation of the site and its surroundings. They noted the possibility of additional burials along the same dune ridge and emphasized the site's scientific and cultural significance. However, despite the initial excitement, it appears that no formal excavation or description of the Port Hedland skull ever took place. The fossils were already weathered when found and are now likely lost to erosion. What insights the Port Hedland individual might have shared with us. Its discovery serves as a reminder of the many stories still hidden in the landscape. The similarities between it and the Cossack skull, united in their extraordinary robusticity, raise questions about the extent and persistence of this unique morphology along the northwestern coast. Like Homo longi to the north, the Cossack skull hints at a richer evolutionary story than is often assumed. As the longest skull from Australia, or likely the entire southern hemisphere, the Cossack skull provides a glimpse into a fascinating chapter of the human journey. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. The aim of this channel is to spark curiosity and explore how the history, fossils, genetics, and cultures of ancient Australia inform our understanding of human evolution.